Hello, welcome to the video notes for lesson 10-3. These notes begin on page 15 in your notes packet. Graphing functions, reflections, and dilations. So in this lesson, you're going to see some things a little different than what we've been seeing so far in this unit when we've been doing our graphing. So let's take a look at the targets. First, I can graph functions. Now, I actually found a neat tool that I have been hoping for, and I finally found it on my laptop. That's going to help me be able to show you some of these examples right on your screen. So that should be very useful. And hopefully you're able to practice this while you're watching the video. The second target, I can identify domain and range. We're going to be continually talking about that because even though it seems like a fairly simple thing, it is also a very big idea that shows up over and over and over again with functions. And the last target is I can describe how the functions differ from the parent function. So that's the big idea. Now on the main page here, we have all the parent functions. However, when we are doing the graphing, especially for this lesson, I am going to a lot of times graph the parent function and the new function, the new image, if you will, so you can really get a sense of what's happening. All right, so this is page 15. Let's go ahead and flip over to page 16, and we're going to do this first one here. Graph f of x equals to negative x squared. Now, before I do that, oh, look at that. There's my neat new tool that I'm going to be using. So this probably looks familiar to you. I've got a blown up screen here and a regular size screen here. So I've already gone to the y equals. I'm going to type in the parent function first, which is x squared, and hit enter. Now I'm going to graph my parent function just so I can see what it looks like. Ta-da! Alright, and that shouldn't be any surprise to anyone. Now in the next y equals, in the second function, I'm going to do negative x squared. I did this the hard way, but that's a math teacher for you. And now I'm going to graph it. Now, you'll notice that the parent function was still there, and then the image showed up underneath it. And that's the big idea. What is happening here? Well, if you look at it, it's not like the previous lesson where we were doing the translations and it was moving it up or down or left or right. Some of you might disagree and say, oh, I moved it down, it's under it. Yeah, I moved it down, but in a different way. So, first of all, let's talk about the domain and the range. The domain is still actually going to be the same. Remember, domain is going left to right, and when it's going left to right, it's still all the real numbers. So for this one, I'm going to write all real numbers. Now some of you might be saying, well, what's that mean? Well, it's the same as what we've done before, negative infinity to positive infinity. This is just another way to write it. And the range is going to be all the real numbers that are less than or equal to 0, because this parabola is below the x-axis. So how is the function different from the parent function? Let me just pop this up here again. Okay. It is the graph of the function is reflected over the x-axis. Is reflected I know reflected and over are not one word. Sometimes I get a little sloppy with this pen tool. Alright? So now, let's try this again, but with an exponential function. So I am going to bring up my calculator again. And let's clear this. Actually, let's go to the Y. Clear. And clear. Okay, so the parent function for exponential is 2 raised to the x power. Enter. So I go to graph, let it graph itself out. There it is, my lovely curve. Remember, the domain is all real numbers going from left to right. It's negative infinity to positive infinity. The range is all real numbers that are greater than 0. Not greater than or equal to, because remember, this line technically never touches the x-axis. It never crosses and never touches. Alright, so now, what happens when I do negative 2 to the x? And I'm sure many of you have already made the correct prediction in your head. Dun dun dun. That's right. Just what we saw before. So, state the domain and the range. The domain, now let's look at it. Well, left to right, it's going. This time I'm going to do it in interval notation. Negative infinity to positive infinity. The range, let's take a look. Okay, I got it. The range this time, so remember what I said, all real numbers, this is going to be less than 0. Now, what that means is I'm going from negative infinity up to 0, but it's not going to land on 0, so it needs to be parentheses and not a square bracket. Okay? So remember, the way that I just wrote the domain and range here, or the way that I wrote it up here, basically are the same. I mean, besides the less than or equal to. But either is an acceptable way to write it. Okay? So, how is this function different from its parent function? The same thing that we wrote up here. The graph of the function is a reflection over the x-axis. So I'm just going to write reflection. Okay. There's one more below this. I'm going to have you graph it on your own. Write the domain and range whichever way you prefer. Alright, and then at the bottom is a conclusion. I want you to try to come up with your own conclusion and then compare it with the answer key that is posted on the website on the web page where the video is. Alright, so I want to jump ahead before this video gets too long to the next page, page 17, and I want to graph quadratic again, but this time with a 4 in front. Okay, so go back to my calculator tool, go to my y equals, clear everything out. I'm sure there's probably a faster way to clear everything, but now I already know what a parabola. You know what? Let's just do it. Let's graph x squared. Hey, look, I did it the smart way. Graph it. Let's see the parent function. Now go back to y equals, and we're going to do 4x squared. Graph it, and watch what it does. This one is inside of it. What is that all about? And we've already kind of talked about this in class. Domain and range. Watch how I write it this time. Domain is, again, all real numbers. Going from left to right, it's positive infinity to negative infinity. Remember, it can't land on infinity. So all real numbers. The range, watch this, f of x is greater than or equal to 0. You know what that is? That's just basically saying the same thing. All real numbers greater than or equal to 0. This is probably not the best way to write it. All real numbers, or from 0, using interval notation, 0 to infinity, square bracket, parentheses. That'd probably be best, but here's what we're going to write for how it's different. It's thinner or narrower, whichever you prefer. And then the reason why it's thinner is that and some might say that the sides of the parabola that are going up are steeper. What that means is it grows faster. And this multiplying by 4 caused that to happen. Alright? So there's a few more examples on this page that I want you to do on your own. Actually, there's a few examples in the next few pages leading up to lesson 11.4. So I want you to try them all on your own. And when you're done, you can check your answers with the key. Like I said, the key is on this web page. You should be able to find it at the bottom. And then obviously, if you don't understand something, make sure you ask questions. Alright? Well, that's it for the video. If you need help, see a friend, come see me. Good luck, and we'll see you in math.